So I was asked to give a talk on and talk about the virtual demo, and I love the virtual demo. I was from Georgia when I was a new representative. So when I first started, we had the phone demo, and anybody who knows and started with the phone demo, it was atrocious. It was like this long phone book training manual. You had to take them to the Cutco website. You had to press forward and backwards, and it was just a lot. It was tough to sell on it, and it was even tougher to teach people how to do it. So basically, if somebody wasn't from the area, it was almost like a strike in the interview. It was going to be really hard to work with them. So when they came out with the virtual demo, and then they made the prezi to go with it, and I took off with it. And I got to be straight up with you. I didn't have the best success on it to begin with. And Brian Herman will tell you, he was my manager who trained me, not exactly on the virtual demo, but just on the demo in general, how to do it. I remember my first 7 demos, I didn't sell anything. And I remember him listening to me do a demo, and he didn't really know how to teach me and what kind of tips to give me because he'd never done one before. So I guess the first tip I can give anyone who is wondering how to get better at the virtual demo and how to teach it better is do something. Find some virtual customers. Find 5 to 10 people that you can show the product to outside of your general area, and do it. That's the biggest tip I can give you. But another tip, really, that I could give you is just that you can't treat it any differently. You have to realize that the virtual demo is the Cutco demo. I just read my training manual. So I go to viewcutco.com, I read my training manual. It's the exact same product that we're selling. It's the exact same guarantee. It's the exact same training manual. So, of course, you should get the exact same results. In fact, my results improved. I had a higher average order on my virtual demo than I did on in-person demos, which is, I think it's unheard of. And I think part of the reason I did is because the customer gets a chance to see all the knives being used. Instead of just the tools that are in the sample kit, I didn't cut up a ton of food in my demos. I just cut up hot dog buns, tomatoes, and peeled carrots. Nothing spectacular, but on the virtual demo, they get a chance to see it all being used, including the tools in the signature set. So I definitely think that helps. The first tip then is you got to remove the stigma that it's different. You have to tell yourself and all your people that you can sell as much on the virtual demo as you can on an in-person demo. So I think that's the first tip. And the second tip that really you have to really realize is that UCLA did a study on the 55-38-7% rule of communication that states that 55% of our communication is body language, nonverbal. 38% is our tonality, and 7% are the words that we say. That's why we can train people to say the same thing that's in their training manual and still get different results because people will say it differently. They will have a different body language. They will say different things even though they're saying the same thing, if that makes sense. So since the customer can't see your body language and you can't see theirs, you have to up your tonality because you can't change the words. So I emphasize my words a lot better. I can't see their body language, so I want to know how they're feeling, so I ask more questions. So that's really the third tip, I guess, is to ask a lot of questions on the virtual demo. I ask a ton of questions. For example, when I build rapport just like normal, while the videos are loading on viewcutco.com on the prezi, it usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes depending on their internet service. And I ask a ton of questions. As soon as you click to the next slide, I always ask the customer, what do you see? What are you looking at? And I do this for 2 reasons. Number one, I do it so they won't skip ahead. They know that I'm going to ask them what they're looking at, so they won't skip ahead. It'd be ridiculous if I'm talking about the forever guarantee and they're looking at the butcher knife. Or if, they get all the way through the presentation and they're like, oh yeah, and they weren't really listening or engaged. And that's actually the second reason why I do it, is to keep them engaged. If somebody talked to me for 30 to 45 minutes on the phone and I didn't say anything, I'm not listening to them at all. However, if they ask me questions, then all of a sudden it's a conversation and not just a presentation over the phone. So I ask a ton of questions. So Ms. Jones, what are you looking at? What do you see? Oh, you see the company? Let me tell you a little bit about the company. Since 1949, we've been in business since 1949 making Cutco knives here in America. Our factory is located in Olean, New York. You ever heard of Olean? Yeah, not a lot of people have. It's a little small town, hour and a half south of Buffalo. We actually do about $200 million in sales a year. We have over 17 million customers. Like I mentioned, it's all made here in America, and we've actually been featured on TV, like Modern Marvels, Made in America, How It's Made. Do you watch any TV? No? Okay, cool. Are you familiar with K-Bar knives? Well, Cutco makes all of K-Bar's knives as well. It's our sister company. We give back, and so I ask a ton of questions. So, hey, do you use scissors? Check out these super shears. You're going to love them. Another tip is when those videos are playing, you got to be talking. I'm like a sports announcer, like Dick Vitale. Like, Miss Jones, did you see that? Did you see that? Cut that broccoli? Oh my gosh, Miss Jones, have you ever had to cut gauze before? Impossible. Check out these super shoes. You see how easy that is? No problem. So I ask a lot of questions to keep them engaged, but I also want to get them excited about the product. And hey, Miss Jones, do you see those wooden handle knives? Well, wooden handle knives, they look good when they're new. You see those plastic handle knives? Blah blah blah. You see, you know what partial tang is? You know what tang is? I didn't know what tang was either until I started working here. I thought it was that orange breakfast drink with the monkeys flying everywhere. But the tang, blah blah blah. So I ask a lot of questions, and especially when I get to the names and uses section. That's probably my favorite section when I'm asking that part. And I'm painting the picture for them. I'm asking, hey, Miss Jones, you ever peel a potato? You ever try to peel a potato with a dull knife? What happens? She's like, oh, it just takes off way too much skin. You're left with nothing but a tater tot. Yeah, don't you hate that? Isn't that annoying? And that's really my money question right there, because they don't really think about how annoying it is unless they're doing it. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you're right, it is annoying. Yeah, you're right, I do hate that. And all of a sudden, they're wanting to get Cutco now. So ask a lot of questions. So one, you got to view it as the same demo. It's the same exact demo as the in-person demo. The only difference is, they view it on, instead of looking at it in the blue book, they look at it online. That's it. There's a little things that are differently. It is a little bit tougher, and that's why it looks really good on a resume. Anybody that does phone sales, they'll tell you that it's tough. That's why in an interview and when people, that's why I have more confidence in a lot more people, because I know I can sell Cutco anywhere, anytime, any place. And I take a lot of pride in my ability to do that. And so the first thing is you got to remove the stigma that it's different. It's the same exact demo. The second tip is really you got to increase your tonality, because they can't see you. And you can't see them, so you got to increase your tonality. And then the third tip is really just to ask a lot of questions. Ask a ton of questions. You should almost feel like you're knowing the customer with how many questions that you're asking them, because I want them responding the whole entire demonstration. And really the money tip I'll give you that'll probably be worth your time in watching this video on the virtual demo is to have the customer write down the prices. When I'm going through my clothes, I have the customer write down the price of Wusthof and Shun. Your good customers, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to have pen and paper already. But hey, you got pen and paper? All right, Miss Jones. Well, these sets, they come with 20 tools, and they're going to be anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000. So write that down. $2,000 to $3,000 for 20 tools. And I go through, well, if it's twice as good, Cutco's twice as good, should be twice the price. Well, twice the price, you're talking about $4,000 for a set of Cutco. So go ahead and write that down, Miss Jones. Cutco, 20 tools, $4,000. And then go ahead and write that down. So let me show you what you get. This is our complete set, best set for people who do a ton of cooking, ton of entertaining. This is our signature set. Check out these videos. Check out this cheese knife. Check out that hearty slicer. This is our two most popular sets for people doing an average amount of cooking that I was telling you about there. Now, our company's found that one of these sets appeals to just about everybody. The beautiful thing is that they're not quite $4,000. So, Miss Jones, put a big X through $4,000. Yeah, she really likes doing that. Put a big X through that. As a matter of fact, Ms. Jones, they're not even as much as those sets that I told you on the previous slide on sale, which are $2,000 to $3,000. So put a big X through those. Write this down. Cutco Homemaker Plus 8 comes with 20 tools. It's only $12.12. And the cool thing is you don't have to pay that all at once. You can split it up over 5 months. Write this down. $262 down today. You got that? All right, circle that. Circle it again. Circle like 3 more times. And that's all you have to put down today. So, Ms. Jones, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you this. You want to go ahead and get your homemaker set today and it only be $262 down? And really, that's essentially, the tips on the virtual demo. I love giving a virtual demo talk at an event because it's really just an excuse for me to give a demo talk. I really get a chance to go through the whole entire demo and kind of show off. So that's why I really love giving the talk, because it's the same exact demo. It really is. We do the same thing. As far as recommendations go, there's 2 ways that I've gotten recommendations and I've trained people to get recommendations on the virtual demo. The first way is the way that I learned how to do it, which was just to get them while they're on the phone with them, and I write them down. So Ms. Jones, I ask for recommendations. I do page 21 just like it is in the training manual. The only difference is when I'd say, hey, here's a pen and a sheet of paper, I just say, hey, I have a pen and a sheet of paper. So who do you know off the top of your head that might be nice enough to take a quick look? We'll start with the names. We'll come back to the numbers. So who do you know? Who do you know that's really nice? Kind of start thought jotting. And they're like, well, I don't know. I had one virtual demo, by the way. The lady didn't know how to access her contacts through, like, while she was on her phone. I was like, no problem, Miss Jones. Do you have a smartphone? She was like, I think so. I was like, okay, cool. You see the home button? All right, cool. Click that home button. What happened? She was like, oh, I went back to my home screen. Cool. And then click on your contacts. All right. And she was like, whoa. Like, I literally blew her mind that not only did I know how to sell knives, but I literally knew how to work her phone better than she did. I don't know if that's why she gave me 10, or she just really liked me, but she was just totally enamored that the fact that I knew how to do that. She couldn't, she was giving me recognition. She's like, I still can't believe that you taught me how to do that. So teach them how to do that. But, so that's the first way. It's just you write them down and then they just you just give them to you, and you get the names and then get the phone numbers. That's one way. The second way, and this is really a way that all of our representatives have been doing it, is just have the customer just write them down and send them to you. So and this is really works a lot better in my eyes, in my opinion, because I was writing up an order. So while I was writing up the order, I couldn't really get recommendations at the same time. So this is a good way to, while you're writing up the order, to get recommendations. It's just by having them write them down, take a picture of them, and send them to you. All right, so or put them in the notes of their phone, or something like that, or share a contact with you. All right, whatever, any of those things will work. But the fact of the matter is, you just use the same approach, and you could definitely get them. The customer is almost always going to try to get off the phone with you before you can get recommendations. They're going to be like, can I email them to you? And I was like, oh my goodness, Ms. Jones, of course you could. I'd love it if you emailed me a whole list of people. But can we at least get your top 5 to 10 right now? I mean, it really takes no time at all, and it really helps me out. See, they think it's going to take a long time, but it's just like going to the gym. Nobody really wants to go to the gym, most people at least. But once you get there, you start doing some reps, you start feeling good, and you realize it wasn't that bad. It's very similar with getting recommendations. They think it's going to take a long time, but once you get them started, I had a customer that told me that said, hey, can I just email them to you? It was late. It's like 11 o'clock. We just got done with the demo. And she was like, can I just email them to you? And I said that to her, and she ended up giving me 20 recommendations, because once they get going, it's a piece of cake, and it really takes no time at all. So I hope this helps a little bit with the virtual demo success. I'd like to obviously see everybody succeeding on that. And if you do have any other questions, then feel free to private message me, reach out to me, and I could do an actual legitimate call on the virtual demo. But those are just some quick notes that I had on it. Just on the virtual demo, but you do those things, if you just remove the stigma and realize that it's the same demo, if you have some tonality in your voice and be enthusiastic when the videos are playing, and if like a sports announcer almost, if you ask more questions to get them to respond and answer more, and especially the questions when you're going through things like, the painting the picture, oh, don't you hate that? Isn't that annoying? Things like that as well. Those are money. And then have them write down the prices. I'm almost certain your virtual demo results will improve, and probably your in-person results as well. So hope this helps